Old spinnerbait fish. Can't beat it with these conditions. Windy conditions in Florida, silver spinnerbait, 4-pounder. All right guys, today we're out here. We've got perfect conditions for a spinnerbait. We've got a little bit of stained water. We've got a pretty good breeze blowing 10-15 mile an hour. A lot of cover in the water on the lake we're on today. It sets up prime to throw a spinnerbait. And me being a guy from Alabama, you know, I see a little bit of dirty water and some chop. I'm gonna have a spinnerbait tied on and throw it around a few times. It's a good bait to cover water with. You can bring it through different types of cover. You can bring it around grass, you can throw it around wood, you can throw it around rocks. It's been around forever, but it's kind of gotten forgotten about with the evolution of all the other baits, the bladed jig and all that kind of stuff. And you know, it's still a player on the tours, but it just doesn't get the publicity that all the newer baits are getting, and it still catches fish just like it always has. And I really think with the popularity of the other baits, I think the spinnerbait is trying to make a comeback, especially in certain situations and on, you know, certain style lakes. Like the lake we're on today has a lot of lily pads, and you know, I'm just catching the corners of them really. I don't want to bring it through like we've got for instance here, you just want to hit the corner. Like you've got a little bitty set of pads right there, you just want to come by the corner, because I mean that's where these fish are going to set up if they're feeding. You've got the wind coming from this way, you've got a little bit of wind blown current coming on that corner, and you just bring it right by the corner. And if you've got a lane to bring it through those pads, it's always good. I don't like reeling it, I don't like bumping the pads. Like we're in Florida today. In a Florida situation, I've never had success bumping the pads like you would in a certain situation where you're throwing around wood or docks or something where you want to hit the post or hit the limb. I've always had better success with just bringing it by it as close as you can without hitting it. I don't know what it is with the Florida fish, but it just doesn't seem to, it seems to run them off more than it does make them react to it. And just because I've got stained water here, that's not the only reason I picked up a spinnerbait. I've caught plenty of fish on a spinnerbait in clear water. You're going to be fishing it a little bit different. You're probably going to be reeling it a lot faster. You're going to have a different color, different blade combination, all that type of stuff. The main thing when the light bulb goes off for me to think about a spinnerbait is obviously the wind. You get a little bit of chop on the water, those blades flashing in the sun, or just the light in general, it's going to throw off, you know, something for the fish to see in that dirtier water. And you know, the lake we're on today has a very good population of shiners as well as just regular shad. Well, I've chosen to throw a silver spinnerbait with silver blades, but the blades are a little bit bigger on this spinnerbait. So in that little bit dirtier water, it's gonna throw off a big flash. There's certain times, I'm gonna give up the goods. A lot of times if it's sunny, like in this situation we're in Florida, I like to throw a silver one. When it's cloudy, I like to throw a gold. Either one of them is going to represent one of the main forages in the lake, whether the silver is going to be a shad or any other type of shad type of forage, and then the gold is going to be, you know, more of a shiner bluegill type imitator. So that's the only two colors I bring down here really. You can catch them on different ones, I'm sure, but that's just my two confidence ones. Going on into the weight of the spinnerbait, 95% of the time I throw a 1/2 ounce. And the reason I do that is because of the reel I throw it on. I throw it on a loose Pro TI, but it's a 7.5 to 1 gear ratio. So what that allows me to do is it's not so much of a high gear ratio that when I barely turn it, it's bringing it in like a 9 or a 10. I can slow this bait down with this 7-to-5 reel to make it act like a 5 gear ratio. And I can also speed up my retriever a little bit and make it act like a, you know, 8 or 9 gear ratio. So I can determine the depth this spinnerbait's gonna run by my reel more than the weight. If I'm throwing a 3/8 ounce and let's say I'm in this wind and I try and reel it real slow, the bait's just gonna rise just because it's not heavy enough. If you try and throw a 3/4, it's gonna do the exact opposite, where it's gonna sink faster. You're gonna have to reel it faster to just keep it up off the bottom. So the 7-to-5-1 loose Pro TI with a 1/2 ounce, you can cover all your water columns by the reel instead of the weight of the spinnerbait. Keeps you from having to buy more of them. I just buy all half, and I have some 3/4 and 3/8 in my boat, but not in a situation like this. They're very situation, you know, dependent. The all-around setup, most of the time that I use for a spinnerbait is I got my Arc Invoker Pro. I throw it on the 7.3 mag medium heavy, and it acts like a medium heavy until you get about halfway down the rod, and then you've got a lot of backbone. So what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to make pretty good pinpoint cast to where you need to, because it's that short of a rod and it's got some tip. But once you load up on the fish, it's going to stop loading up about halfway down and turn into more of a heavy action halfway down the rod. It's a good all-around spinnerbait rod, I believe. You know, the line size depending on the cover, but I'm never going to go lower than 16 pounds ever on a spinnerbait, because if he's coming up to eat that spinnerbait, he's not worried about the line size. Like, even if you're in clear water, you're going to be working the bait so fast that he's not going to get a good look at it. So, I mean, 16 is the lowest I'll go, but 9 times out of 10, I'm throwing 20 pound. I like Sunline Shooter, 20 pound. It's just like I said, it's the line I use, and I'm never going to go lower than 16. Like, there's no point in it. It's not gonna make a difference. I promise you, he's not going to see it. And I mean, who doesn't love a spinnerbait? Like, there's just something about it. And there's like that split second before you know he's got it. Like, they take the water off your blades. Like, when you've got the right setup and can feel your blades kind of thumping, even on Will Lease, when it takes the water off the blades, like right the split second before he eats it, there's nothing like it.